Hi, I'm Randy Hollenbeck, and this is the Music Roundtable. Today on the show, we have Adam Stevenson from rock band Capitol Theater.
Yeah, what's up? What's up, Randy? Yeah, I'm good. How are you going?
I wanted to go into some of your history. What age did you start playing guitar and get into music?
I started the guitar about at 8 years old. I had been dabbling around on a bit of piano before that, but then I saw we had a guitar lying around the house, and my older brother was playing it, and I suppose I was competitive, and I wanted to kind of be better than him maybe, uh, and just started playing it and picking up what these chords were, and just started looking at some music books and started playing some pretty average tunes out, out of some book that we had lying around. I don't know. And then I would have discovered the Beatles at some point and started learning those songs. And just from there, it's just it's like a wildfire, isn't it? Just takes hold of you.
You just started by yourself, no lessons or anything, you just picked it up on your own?
Yeah, the guitar. I think my dad showed me a few chords. He might have shown me just some basics, and then I think once I had those and I started figuring out how they all work together, I was just kind of self taught from there.
Who are some of your musical influences?
It's been pretty varied over the years. I know when I was growing up, I grew up in a small rural town in New Zealand, and there were no record stores, so what your parents had or what you could get access to, in a way, was what started you off. And I think I was kind of fortunate in that sense. I had a lot of Motown records, so like Smokey Robinson, the Supremes, stuff like that. The Drifters. I remember listening to a lot of Drifters, and just I think in that sense, I really understood from a young age what harmony was all about. And I think we always try in our music, bring in where it's relevant. Don't be shy of bringing in some cool harmonies. I've always loved the way voices blend together. From a young age there was a lot of that. But my dad was a big Eric Clapton fan, so I consumed all of that stuff. I remember learning, I think, from start to finish, the Eric Clapton Unplugged in New York album. I just remember just hearing the crispness of that guitar that he played, and all the songs on it. They were just so great. And that would have been, I suppose, when I was like 12 or something like that. But I mean, just list loads of great music. Beatles, Doors, Queen. I just love Queen. to the core. So, yeah. Hey, if anything that's been good music of our time, I mean, we've had so many great artists. Yeah, we and the rest of the band is the same, quite varied influences. Um, yeah, so when we do come together, it's we do have a lot that we draw on, and sometimes we don't know what influences we're drawing on, but it's kind of like a melting pot, you know.
Yeah, like a mix together of all your influences, and they just make your sound.
Yeah, I think that's what's cool about bands. You know, it is a coming together of a whole bunch of history. You know, musical history.
Can you tell me how the band formed?
Yeah, well, so Roy, Paul, and I, we met originally at a jam night that was held. It was at this kind of dodgy bar underneath a strip club, um, which seems like a fitting place for a rock band to meet. And we were just put together on this night, and we hadn't. I mean, I knew Roy, but I hadn't met Paul, and we all just jammed on that night. We were just playing, a whole bunch of covers and things, and yeah, we hit it off, and then we continued to jam and play in various different formats. But then in 2019, we sat down and we made a plan to create Capitol Theatre, and that was just our ideal rock band that we wanted to commit to for many years. And yeah, so we set about writing our first album, and that was The Hero's Journey. And we also wanted to get an iconic rock producer. So we hunted down Mike Clink, who had obviously done a lot of work with Guns N' Roses and loads of other great bands. Uh, and so we kind of just really, you know, um, almost methodically thought about how we were going to achieve this vision of this band that we all, conceptually had fell in love with already.
How did you come up with the band name?
Yeah, Capitol Theatre. It's kind of interesting. We we actually Paul, our drummer, he's quite heavily involved in property, and he and I had been looking at this building, and it was called the Capitol Cinema in um, in Auckland, and and ended up purchasing it, and then it was at that point that we were actually trying to figure out a band name, and I think it's a bit of a double meaning, because we wanted a rock band that was going to be leaning into theatrics, and to bring out a bit more I suppose visual artistry and everything we execute visually, and so I think just the meaning of embellished theatre, Capitol Theatre, along with the idea of just the theatrics of money, and the fact that everyone on earth has to play some form of Capitol Theatre to survive, right? Um, Go out and earn some money, and however you do that is up to you, but you got to do it, unfortunately. So yeah, it's a little bit of a it's a bit of a paying homage to the fact that we're all involved in some form of Capitol Theatre as well.
What city is your band based out of?
So we are based out of Auckland, New Zealand, but we do quite a bit of travel to and from the States. So we've just come back from a 6 week trip about a month ago, and we're heading back there in September to visit a bunch of radio stations and play a few shows and do some showcases. And yeah, so the momentum there is really picking up. We've got some festivals lined up for next year already, and yeah, we've got a great team behind us. So we're really pumped for what's ahead. Yeah.
I wanted to dig into some of your songs. You released Delicately Poised February 2022, and I wanted to ask you, what does it mean to be delicately poised?
Well, I suppose I'll put it into context with the album, because the hero's journey. from start to finish. It takes you on that hero's journey framework. So we kind of just stole what many movie producers kind of use as a framework, and that was kind of coined by a professor of mythology, a guy called Joseph Campbell. And so George Lucas is well cited for taking the works of Joseph Campbell and the hero's journey framework, which is kind of like a blueprint for telling a story. And that's where you'll see those kind of archetypes through movies, like Star Wars and Lord of the Rings, where a hero there is a call to adventure for this hero, and they answer that call and they go out on the quest, and they have to face some kind of big challenge and ordeal. They're tested along the way, and then they resolve some kind of great boon for their world, their society or something. So we kind of stole that framework, and so Delicately Poised is the song just before Forced to Fight, which Forced to Fight being the big ordeal. Delicately Poised is this a bit more of a and I suppose stylistically in terms of the music, it's a bit more like nostalgic and a bit more haunting in those verses. But essentially, in our framework, the Delicately Poised was a bit of a taking stock, a bit of a questioning of the self. Almost being on that precipice of about to be doing something major, which is kind of transferable to any time in your life where you just might be you're on the brink of something, and you're say you're about to commit to something. You've got to do that inner searching to just double check with yourself that you're cool with what you're about to do.
Am I a reinvention, a possibility of something new? Do I do the things to others that I want them to do? All these things won't matter when the battle begins. So bring out your best. It's delicately poised for the girls and the boys to find their voice and shut down the noise. It's delicately poised for the girls and the boys to find their voice and shut down the noise.
You released Fait, Accompli, June 2022, and there's a really catchy guitar riff in the intro, and also there's a build up in the bridge. And was that something like you worked out in the studio, that build up?
Well, the guitar riff especially was something that just purely came out of a jam, and it was just something Roy, our guitarist, just naturally just did it, and we were like, hey, that punctuality is really cool. Let's work off that. So that was just a natural thing that happened, and that was almost the crux of the energy of the song was kind of born just out of that one riff. And then let me think about the build. I think the build during pre-production and things, we did work on that whole build part with Mike Clink when we were in pre-prod. It would have had a few different iterations, I'm sure, but we wanted there to be this dramatic kind of climactic moment. So adding in the strings part, it all just builds this big drama, and then that big guitar riff out just drops it right back into the last chorus. It's very cinematic, and we definitely wanted to achieve that big cinematic vibe of there's something going on here. We toyed around with should there be any lyrics over that part? It's quite a big extended bridge, but we just kept it clean and let the music build up some atmosphere.
Yeah, I think like sometimes you just need to let it breathe on its own, and it's like building up a little by little until it gets to that big part where the piano's going and the drums and everything like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think music and instrumentation that can tell sometimes a much better story than some fool like me singing some lyrics. Um, so I think it is. Yeah, it's really important to create those musical moments in your songs. Definitely.
What do you have planned for the rest of 2022?
Yeah, so we're going back to America in September. We're doing a few shows. We've got a festival that we're part of in Madison with a radio station called The Resistance, and that's going to be cool. So we went there and played a bit of a showcase for them in June, and they invited us back to be part of their festival that they do. I think they closed down all the streets in Madison and Wisconsin there, and yeah, it's called Taste of Medicine, and we're part of one of the stages, so that's going to be cool. And beyond that, we're going to visit a few more radio stations and playing a few showcases around the place. And then we're finishing off our second album, which we started this year as well. So again, we're recording with Mike, and we're finishing off some overdubs. That'll be back in LA, and then we will be coming back to New Zealand. We've got a few summer shows booked in here, and so that'll take us through to the end of the year, and then yeah, we've started to build our schedule of shows that we're going to be playing. We've got some festivals lined up in the States next year. So yeah, with our booking agent will be, yeah, we're kind of catching up with them when we're over there and figuring out 2023, which is starting to look pretty exciting, to be honest.
Can you tell me how you worked with Mike Clink? Did you like search him out, or did the record company hook you guys up?
Through the record company, we just approached Mike's manager, and that was yeah, it was very interesting. I mean, we were unknown at the time. This was our first album, so we were really relying on our demos to sell the story. Um, so it took a wee bit of time between touching base with Mike's manager to even get in the songs to Mike to listen to, and then so after hearing the songs, Mike was interested enough to have a phone call with us. So we all jumped on a three-way call, and started explaining to him the hero's journey concept, and he was really digging the concept vibe of everything. And yeah, we sent him a couple more songs that we'd been working on, and then he was committed to the project, which was great. And then we flew him to New Zealand to do some pre-production with us. So he got to see the where we were from and kind of a bit more about who we are, and that was really cool. Good way to kick things off. And yeah, and then we went over to LA to record. So but yeah, then we got hampered by the first lockdown, which happened in LA when we were there. So we were a couple of weeks into the recording, and then that lockdown happened, and so we had to get back to New Zealand. So what would have been a 4 week, recording session with Mike ended up being stretched out over the course of about 8 or 9 months, back and forth, because everyone was in isolation. So we ended up getting back into a studio in New Zealand and finishing everything off via a process of Mike on FaceTime, and then we had on Logic we had a plugin called Audio Movers, which I think a lot of people started using at the time because gives everyone a real time session. So Mike's listening to exactly what's being recorded. But yeah, I mean it tested everyone's patience, and Mike will say this as well. But through that process, we obviously we'd already become very good friends, but we had to become even greater friends to make this process work. There's a lot of a lot of kind of understanding and lenience almost had to occur so that we didn't go insane with what was going on. But it's been amazing second time round, being in the same room as him and feeling what it's like to be produced by someone that's not on a FaceTime screen.
Where could we get a hold of you? Facebook, Instagram, Twitter?
Yeah, definitely. You can jump on our Instagram, which is at Capital Theatre Band, and we just always have to point out that Capital is with an AL at the end, not an OL. So Capital, and then theatre we spell it with an RE at the end, like the English do. So Capital Theatre Band on Instagram. That's a good spot to hit us, and it's the same handle for Facebook as well, if you want to jump on there.
That's all the questions I have. Thanks for coming on the show today. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Oh, just if you haven't heard any Capital Theatre or you're not following us on Spotify, definitely. And we've got a bunch of songs on Apple Music too. Just go and have a look and go and check out the videos as well. I mean, we put a lot of time and effort into our music videos, so we've got some amazing content which is on YouTube, and they've been very well viewed by millions of people. So make sure you're one of them. And just get involved in the Capital Theatre journey. We're writing great rock music for album 2, and we're already writing for album 3. So we're not going away anytime soon. So just get on board, and definitely we'll see you at some festivals if you're in the States. We'll see you at some festivals next year.